We're live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the September meeting of the Philadelphia Land Bank Board. We will start with a statement from our attorney about holding virtual meetings.
Good morning, everyone. Today's board meeting is being held by an authorized communication device because of the continued closure of land bank offices due to the COVID pandemic. This meeting is being recorded. Questions and comments may be made using the Q&A function or the raised hand button at the bottom of the screen. If you are calling in and not using the Zoom webinar link, you may ask questions or make comments by pressing *9. You can also use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. Please do not use the chat function. If any member of the public has any issues submitting questions or comments, please send an email to me at andrea.sa@phdc.phila.gov, and that will be posted in the chat. Please note all questions and comments received by email or through the Q&A section will be included in the minutes of this meeting. Also, prior to today's public session, the board held an executive session at which the agenda was reviewed and there was a report on some current litigation in which the land bank is involved. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll have roll call.
Yep. Alexander Balloon.
Here.
Joshu Harris.
Here.
Michael Johns.
Here.
Maria Gonzalez. Michael Koontz.
Here.
Ann Fadulin.
Here.
Andrew Goodman. Rick Sauer.
Here.
Majida Rashid. Rebecca Lopez Chris.
Here.
Rich DeMarco. All right, we have 7 present, so we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And now we will consider approval of the minutes from the August Land Bank Board meeting. Hopefully the board has had a chance to review those minutes. If there's no questions or comments from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes. Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the minutes from the August 9th, 2022 Land Bank Board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes carry. That brings us to the Executive Director's report.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I do not have a report this month.
Okay, thank you. And next on our item, on our agenda is an amendment to an already approved disposition.
Good morning, board and everybody. The sole administrative item on today's agenda is in regards to an administrative item to resolution number 2022-10, which was adopted by the board in May of 2022, that of which actually amended resolution number 2022-9, which was approved by the board the month before. This particular resolution approves Savetta 1 as the developer of 41 affordable home ownership units in West Philadelphia's Haddington neighborhood, as a result of removing 4 properties at that point. Today, the board is actually requested to amend the most recently approved resolution to approve even another change in the total unit count, specifically reducing the property count by 4 single-family units for a new total of 37 units. This particular reduction is necessitated by the removal of 10 additional properties that are located at 642 and 644 North Sickles Street, also on 641, 643, 45, 47, 49, 51, and 53 North 55th Street, all of which due to their proximity to underground infrastructure relating to the sewer out there. With regard to this particular reduction, the revised property list is as follows: 650, 658, and 662 North Conestoga Street, 5436 West Girard Avenue, 5552 Harmer Street, 653 North Sickles Street, 534 to 36, 538 to 40, 546, and 550, North 54th Street, and finally 623 to 633 North 55th Street. Overall, there's been a decrease in the single family units and the increase in condo units to get to this current 37 unit count. Triplexes include lower level 3-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units flats on the levels above. There are also duplexes that are now including a lower level 2-bedroom units and a upper level 3-bedroom units. So essentially, the revised project will now contain 7 single-family units and 30 condominium units. The max sale prices for the triplex units will be $200,000. The max sale prices for the duplex units will be $230,000, and the one single family unit will be have a max sale price of $230,000 with 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. And 6 single family units will have a maximum sales price of $200,000, including 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms within 1,000 square feet. These particular bids, again, were solicited through a request for proposals process, and the applicant at the time was the sole only qualified bidder.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? I have a hand up from a phone number 215. The last 3 digits are 637.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Tiffany Green. I'm on a landline right now. As affordable housing advocate, I want to put the opposition on here. I didn't see this. My cousin lives in this area, and I'm familiar with this area. This area, to put 30 condominiums in this particular area, which is definitely a low, moderate income area, is really jump-starting the market rate market in this area. This is unfair to these people. And again, I'm putting on the record, I think a RCO process with a notification to the neighbors and a community meeting should have been held for these neighbors so that they would know what's coming. 30 condominiums, I've been in this business for a while, and I very rarely see, I would say, long-term residents purchase a condominium. And for the land bank to sit up here and sell these condominiums in this area, Haddington, is very unfair. And I just want to put on the record, I will be contacting some people in that area regarding this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments. And I don't see any other hands up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Andre. I forgot to refer to you to find out if anybody had sent in any comments prior to the meeting.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I just wanted to put on the record that no comments were received prior to this.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, and I don't see any other hands up, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the amendment.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the amendment to this disposition. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to new property dispositions, and we start with our first section, which is several projects under development for affordable housing. And we'll start with item A1.
Item A1, today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of a parcel in the city's Port Richmond neighborhood to Janey Street Apartments LP. It'll be for the development of affordable senior rental housing with LIHTC financing. The properties are located at 2843 to 61 Janey Street and 2842 to 60 Weichel Street. It's a parcel in the first district, which will be ultimately known as 2855 Janey Street. The proposal includes a 4-story, 47,000 square foot building that will include 47 1-bedroom units. Of these units, 6 units will be leased to tenants whose household incomes are at or below 20% of AMI. 23 units will be leased to tenants whose household incomes are at or below 50% AMI, and 18 units will be leased to those whose incomes are at or below 60% of AMI. 6 of those units will be approximately 685 square feet and accessible. The remaining 41 units will be approximately 620 square feet. This particular application was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy. The developer will be purchasing the property for nominal. They have provided project financing, evidence of the project financing. The applicant is compliant in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. It will be subject to an economic opportunity plan and subject to an irrevocable power of attorney and right of reentry as well. And there will be some sort of income verification and restrictive covenants applied to these properties to enforce the affordability. Thanks.
I think the chair has stepped away.
I see that the chair has stepped away for a moment. Are there any questions or debate among the board on this item? Okay, is there a motion?
Andrea,
Should
Yes,
ask if there's
I
public
just-
questions.
right. I just wanted to state that no public comment was received prior to this meeting, but I don't know if anyone has their hand raised.
Are there any questions from the public?
There are no raised hands at this time.
Okay. Is there a motion on the agenda item?
I'll make a motion to approve the disposition to Janney Street Apartments.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries.
next item.
I'm sorry, guys.
No problem.
Are we on 5A2?
We are.
Correct.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, 5A2, which is properties for disposition to the Savetta Group.
Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 11 properties in Point Breeze to Savetta Property Group for the development of 22 affordable home ownership units. These units will be developed across a combination of 3 single-family units and 19 condo units. All units will be sold to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI and a max sales price of $230,000. These properties include, again, in the second council district, 1811, 2114, and 2123 Fernan Street, 1930 and 1932 Norwood Street, 1629, 1642, 1648 and 1652 Point Breeze Avenue, and 1824 South 20th Street, as well as 1835 South 22nd Street. The 3 single-family units will contain 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. They will all be 2 stories with no basement. 5 duplexes will be each 3 stories with a full basement. Unit 1 of these duplexes are on the lower levels containing 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. Some of these units might contain a den in the basement, depending on the confirmation of lot area and a survey. Unit 2 on in these particular duplexes will be the upper level units containing 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The triplexes themselves will each be 3 stories and contain a full basement as well. Unit 1 of these will be the bi-level units to the lower levels containing 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and family room as well. And the upper level units, units 2 and 3 will both contain 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom each. This proposal was actually unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy. The developer will be purchasing the property at a reduced price of $1,100. Evidence of project financing has been provided by the developer, and the applicant is compliant and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. The project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan, and it will be also subject to an irrevocable power of attorney and right of re-entry reverter. And finally, it will be subject to use restrictions and income verifications by way of a declaration of restrictive covenants.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments on this item from the board? Seeing none, Andrea, did we receive any comments on this item?
Yes, we received 2 emails from concerned citizens of Point Breeze. The first was a request that the project be pushed back to the October meeting because of the timing over the Labor Day holiday. And also because the Point Breeze, concerned citizens of Point Breeze stated that they have not had a chance to discuss homeownership for 30 to 50% AMI income level with the land bank. There was, and that both of these emails will be appended to the minutes. I just received at 9:15 a follow-up email from concerned citizens of Point Breeze, which basically is a it's a letter that was forwarded to Councilman Johnson prior to the last time, a related disposition was considered to Cerveta Property Group, and it's basically restating their opposition to these to this disposition, sale of any of these properties for this at this level of homeownership.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we do have a hand up from the public. So I think it's Tanya Dixon.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Well, my name is Tanja Dixon, and I am the co-block captain of the 2200 block of Vernon Street. I also represent my neighbors, and my mother is the block captain. Her name is Florence Dixon, and she's been a resident for over 54 years. I'm listening to everything that you are putting forth, but we don't really need any more homes on this block. It's saturated with people. We still have 57 other apartment buildings coming with no parking. And no parking again has been added to this project. It is unfair, it is unkind, and the thing is, people in the neighborhood are a bit set up now because this is a small area with already we have 7 apartment buildings within one block. Within one block, we have the issue with the trash and the garbage. And yes, I am the person about the parking, and I understand the city has this issue, but it's unfair for my parents who are elderly, who have handicap signs, to still have to go and park 2 blocks away because someone else came and parked in their parking space, or not have any at all. I've had to get my pavement repaid because people have been parking on my pavement. So I don't agree with this, and neither do my neighbors on the 2200 block of Vernon Street.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. We appreciate you those comments.
You're welcome.
And we have 637 again, and I believe that's Tiffany Green. So go ahead, Ms. Green.
Hi, Tiffany Green, Concerned Citizens Point Breeze. Thank you, Andrea, for putting that in. I'm just putting that on the record so that to let it be known that we were just here in July 12th. We don't understand how the community came out then and opposed this, and then you turn around and put it back on September 12th. That is a serious, gross, just disregard for the community to turn around and do that again. And I don't understand how you're sitting up here selling our properties for condominiums, and particularly to Joe Shue, who is a lawyer for Councilman Johnson, to approve something like this when we've just had 42 apartment buildings on Point Breeze Avenue, 50, as Tanja said, 57, and then we have 29 apartment buildings coming down the street, and then we have another 30 coming due to this mixed housing community bonus. That's quite a bit of market rate apartments within the span of 6 months. And so we are being bombarded with that. But more importantly, how can you sit up here and allow this man, this developer, to handpick properties in our area to put condominiums in there? And by the way, the condominium word was taken out of the description. In our area, when you've just given him, you approved him for, I think it was 95 single-family homes, and I'm not sure it was scaled back 65, but I was trying to, but initially it was 95 single-family homes at $280,000 at 100 AMI. Now, this is the first time I've heard the 100 AMI piece. All right. Then this same developer got 2 other projects in Council District 2 at 120 and 180 AMI. That was the 20 on Cross Street, where he's selling for 195. But then the ones up in Great Ferry, he's selling for around $250,000. Then he has 2 recent projects not yet closed. Okay, on North, you got here where he's paying for that. He hasn't closed those yet. I guess maybe this one might be one of them. But then you turned around and you just approved him reapproved him to do 30 condominiums and 7 single in Haddington. So you're giving this developer all these properties to build condominiums in our community. Are you not the gentrifier? I mean, because to vote for this and let him build condominiums, I thought the word condominium went out a long time ago. And so how is it that you don't even have a proven method or data to show that these people are going to purchase these condominiums? When you have UC residents who don't have any place to live, it's already been put out in Plan Fully that we have 1,700 units that may be gone in the next 5 years, and you're sitting up here selling condominiums? This is really an abomination of, this is really an abomination of disregard for low-income people, low moderate-income people. And I'm asking you in Point Breeze, which is one right now, the number one area being targeted and built in terms of market rate. You all know Point Breeze has had a lot of market rate housing, and this is just unfair to take these properties that could be going for low and moderate income people and give this to this person. This is pure greed. To give this man 95 properties or 65 and then another 30 for condominium, and then turn him give him our little 15, 12 properties in Point Breeze. I mean, I think that you all need to search inside yourself before you vote on this to do that to us. We've gotten 30 low-income apartments and from 30, Mamie Nichols. That's it. We have nothing else. And then we have Washington Avenue with over 2,500 and another 1,400 coming in market rate apartments. That is pure, that's just total annihilation of our area, and that's not fair to us at all. And I hope you consider
Ms. Green, I need you to wrap up, and I think we very much understand where you're coming from. All right, Ella Mae Bruce.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I live in the area. I live in Point Breeze. I actually live at Point Breeze and Tasker. And we're being overrun with properties. All of these multi-units, even if they're affordable, no one is responsible for the upkeep. We're told everything under the sun when they say they want to build. It's so dirty. There's trash left at these family sites. Who's taking care of them? Nobody's taking care of them. It's on every corner. There's one being built across the street from me. It's like everything is done in a vacuum. Like nothing is looked at as a whole. And when are we at, enough density? It's just too much density. And with everything being built, are the decisions being made based on what's already in the works? I don't know if anybody can answer that question, but everything seems like it's done. Nothing is thought out and planned out. It's just, okay, you want to come in and do whatever you want to do. And everything is everything. It's like we have no aesthetically pleasing neighborhood anymore. It's just a mess. So I would hope that the land bank would kind of take a step back and look at what's already being done in the areas and what can the community, what can we give back? What can we just give them a break? Cut them a break on all of this development, people's houses being ruined by what's going on. We need a break. So just to take a look and see what's going on before any other properties are being allowed to develop what they want to develop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bruce. And next we have a phone number ending in 780.
Good morning. My name is Gail Mack of Concerned Citizens of Point Breeze. I'm calling in reference to the land bank, but I would like to say our community is suffering. We have the same developer coming in, this official selling city properties with the same developer. It's like a monopoly. And we also have the developers coming in and they're short dumping. And no one's paying attention to that part because we don't have that type of material. And I would also like to oppose the project and ask the land Bank Board to vote no to selling the city properties deeds to a market rate developer. These properties are valuable assets in our community and shall be for low income, affordable people. So, and
Thank you.
I am tired of the gentrification. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Betty Buford.
On mute. Good morning. My name is Betty Buford. I'm calling about the project as well. Back in 2020, we tried to meet with Councilman Johnson because we were looking for houses for the Ross people, the ShopRite people, those kind of people in our community. We are looking for houses for them. They need houses as well. So everything is off the map for them. But we're coming back asking Councilman Johnson to sit down and talk with us, take this off the docket for now, and let's sit down and reason together and make homes for people that live in Point Breeze now, because we're gonna have the same thing we have on UPenn. No, people are gonna become homeless down here because they can't afford to live down here. And we need to come together and make homes for everybody, because that's a human right. We all need somewhere to live. So why don't we just now take this off the docket and let's come back together and make affordable homes for so our people, so our Ross people and ShopRite people can have ownership to homes. Everybody needs a home, and home ownership is our way of building wealth. We need wealth too, okay? We also need something for our own people. And we asking Councilman Johnson to take this off the docket, or whoever needs to take it off, and sit down and meet with the Point Breeze residents, which he has not done. We've tried to meet with him since 2020 during the pandemic, because we all sitting around thinking about what we can do and how we can better ourselves. And we've been trying to get him to meet with us. He never did, never will. And we want things done somewhat in the way we want it, because as Darryl Clark always say, the community has a say. That's what Clark always say. The community has a say, but not Point Breezers, not the Black Point Breezers have no say in Point Breeze. And we are sick and we are tired, and enough of market rate housing is enough. We're not going from Point, we're not leaving from Point Breeze. We're not leaving. We're not leaving, because as I said before, it's a shame before God and man is how we've been mistreated in Point Breeze as people of color. And we had enough of it. So somebody got to take a land bank, take a stand, or Johnson, somebody got to take a stand and come and reason with our people, because they're sick and tired of it. Enough of this is enough.
Thank you, Ms. Buford.
We
thank you very much. We appreciate you showing up and providing us with those comments. Next, I'm going to turn over to Board Member Rebecca Lopez, Chris, and then we'll go back to public comment. Go ahead.
I just want to confirm, we're on 5.2, right?
Yes, 5.2, which is properties disposed to the Savetta Group, 22
Right,
affordable home ownership units at 80% of AMI.
Which is 22 units at 80%. So like, is community objection that 80% is too high?
I believe so. I think so. This is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing density, parking. There's a lot of development there already. That they're not. That yes, 80% is too high, and they'd like to have a conversation. Those are sort of the 5 things that I'm hearing. Go ahead, Board Member Sauer.
Could Land Bank staff clarify how this application was revised versus the initial submission, how it changed from what the initial submission was to what it is now?
I'm sorry. On a high level, the previous presentation of an application at this location by the developer included the same amount, if not maybe slightly more units of home ownership, but there was a mixed income presentation to us. There was some of the project was not affordable, but the majority of the project was affordable. Came in at the qualifying under the threshold that we have as 51 units having to be affordable for qualified disposition. So compared to last time, this project is presented as a completely affordable project versus a project that had mixed income.
So I'd like to add to that after the result from the last board meeting, the developer did meet with council office to discuss changes. The developer is on the call today. That would be Michael Tomasetti. And I believe he can give some insight as to the changes that were made and conversations that were had.
Right, yes. Okay, yeah, and we will get to Mr. Tomasetti. So I'm noticing that we've got public participants that are raising their hand for the second time. We really hear comments from folks one time, and it's not that we want to limit public comment, but again, I think it's just so that the board understands particularly where the community members are coming from. And I'm gonna let folks that haven't spoken yet speak, but I'm not gonna recognize people to speak again because I do think that the board members are getting a good understanding of the community issues here. So with that, the next person is Geneva Carter. Go ahead, Ms. Carter. You should be able to unmute yourself and provide your comment. There you go. Ms. Carter? Ms. Carter, you should be able to provide your comment. Okay, unfortunately, we're not hearing Ms. Carter, so maybe we can try to come back to her and go to Tara Bruce. Go ahead, Ms. Bruce.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Tara Bruce, and I also live in the Point Breeze section of Philadelphia, near 22nd and Point Breeze. And I had a few concerns and questions specifically about this property. One of the things is I know it's saying affordable home ownership, but I know that there's an aspect of setting up properties in a certain manner, building them, that it doesn't necessarily provide a home ownership aspect in the sense of they're trying to get multiple people to live into this one unit. One of the things that I see that some of these duplex, where it's a single family homes, you have 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and half bath, but all of the duplexes have 3 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms. That's introducing to me or to someone that's looking at a property, a such situation where you're allowing multiple non-family members to live in this space, which allows for a even larger density into that particular space. So I look at when you say 22 affordable home ownerships, that could introduce, even though it's saying homeowner, you're thinking 22 people or properties or however you want to say, that could easily introduce 40 to 45 people into a block or to a section of Philadelphia that would bring, we already have 50 some odd units, then we have 3 other apartments that are built there. I don't think that the wording is trickery to me, but I know what they're trying to say and to do, and that is not conducive to what we're trying to do in this particular neighborhood. We are about developing and building. I said, but we do want single family homes. They're not even offering that outside of offering through free real property. Also, I feel as though that these city properties need to be maintained by the city. While they are not being developed, they look atrocious. And I feel like the city of Philadelphia owes it to us to at least maintain them before they even say, okay, we're going to sell them. Yeah, they look attractive to people because they look like they're not being maintained. So yes, someone wants to develop one when it could just be an open space. And so that's my point of view. And so yes, I do vote against this particular developer and this particular setup on all of these properties.
Thank you, Ms. Bruce. We appreciate those comments. All right, and now we're going to hear from Mike Tomasetti, who represents the developer.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? Thanks for allowing us to speak. So when this was first proposed, we came in at 60% of this project at 80% AMI. From the feedback from the July meeting, everyone was concerned that we were going to build market rate. The other 40% of the project was going to be market rate. We spoke to the councilman's office, moved some of the lots from this project, and it came back into the 100% of these homes being affordable and 80% AMI. There's not much I can do about parking. We live in an urban setting. You know, that's not something I can do at an affordable level, is add parking. And we're very thoughtful and mindful of how we develop. And we are very clean in our development. We pick up our trash, we don't dump. We have project managers on site all day looking at this and reviewing this. So we're very mindful to not disrupt the community. And we're also looking to build wealth in the community for community members. That's why we focus on affordable housing. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tomasetti. And let's try Geneva Carter again. Go
Hello.
ahead.
My,
Hi, there you are. Great.
Finally, I had to go to my phone.
Okay.
My name is Geneva Carter. I'm the block captain of the 1500 block of South 24th Street. I do have an issue, like everyone else, that there's crowding, is overcrowded. When you build too much, it's going up and there's more people and there's less room for us. But my other concern is also making the homes that's already here unstable. We live between two rivers, the Schuylkill and the Delaware. And underneath my block is a creek, okay? And the roads, the streets are horrible, they're horrendous. All this construction and tearing up, the stuff is sinking. And every time they fill it in, it doesn't stay. You're putting more and more weight on soil that's not strong enough to support it. When they're building bigger homes, there's more weight. So now you're gonna have more problem with the older houses that are here, that have been here. You know, the new ones, they're gonna shore them up. They're gonna be fine. But the ones who own and been here for years, support senior citizens on fixed incomes, their houses are the ones at risk. Just like they're also building them higher and the stuff is falling off their houses onto ours. Like if we have those big snows and it rains and stuff, it doesn't run off at everybody's house the same, because the other houses were going to be taller. It's going to drop off theirs on ours. And then we're having more weight on our house because we don't just have the snow that fell on ours. We have also the snow that fell on our neighbors. It's really not a good idea, I think. And nobody is checking all that out. They're just looking at it from standing here looking at the horizon. This will be nice. Look at what they're actually doing, because we're sinking. Does no one else see that we have a lot of sinkholes all over the place? Way more, I'm 59, way more than there's ever been in my lifetime. That means there's a problem. That means somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, which was test the soil and the land to make sure it could support what they're trying to put on it. That's another idea. Thank you.
Appreciate that. And again, I have some board members who wish to chime in here, so I'm going to go to board member John.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions and comments. Question on the home ownership units. I know they're affordable to folks that make less than 80% of AMI, or up to 80% of AMI. Now, some of these are duplexes, also sort of like the Haddington model, correct? Am I correct?
You're
Duplexes, right?
These are
So the homeowner that buys the duplex, they meet the 80% of AMI. When they sell the upper units or whatever other units in the building, are they required to meet that 80% of AMI or no? Or is it just the initial buyer?
everybody.
Are there restrictions? So there are restrictions on the sale of the other condo units within, okay. The other, another question, I think, or comment. I think there was an interesting comment by one or a couple of the callers that really resonates with me. You know, sort of not just the hat that I have here, but CDR and some others. The amount of new development that is being built, just in general, right? There's a lot of apartments being built everywhere, it seems. And a caller raised the question, when is enough density enough? And I think that's an important question to really ponder for the city, just across the board, and really begin to look at these neighborhoods in a more comprehensive way, to think about, when do we sort of get to that threshold when it's just too dense, and so we really do, I think, need to take a step back and look at sort of what's happening in these neighborhoods and what's being planned and what's being proposed and how past development activity affects sort of the new trajectory of some of these neighborhoods. I think that's critical for us to do as a city. So I think that is a very important point. And the other question that I have is, will these new units require zoning? Will they require a zoning process, or will they be built as a matter of right? Do we know that?
I believe the RSA 5 zoning allows for it to be by right here. These are all.
Can we verify that we can build duplexes and triplexes in RSA 5?
Actually,
Not sure that's valid.
Yeah, that's not valid. But
you can.
There's because there's RM1, but there's also RSA 5 too. But we can verify what.
Okay, so some of the ones that are in RSA 5 will need to go through a variance process. So therefore, the community will have an opportunity to weigh in.
Well, it looks, I just want to say, Mike, it looks like there are a few of these that are just a single family unit.
Okay.
So those may be on RSA 5 lots, and the duplex and triplexes may be on RM1 lots. So not verified, but I'm.
We have the developer back on the line. He can clarify.
Well, I'm gonna recognize board member Balloon.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I thought the public comment was concluded, but I just want to say I appreciate hearing the criticism and the feedback from the community about parking. One of the things that this isn't a land bank issue, but the city's got a large backlog of junk vehicles. I also wanted to say that I appreciated Mr. Tomasetti's comments relative to parking and added cost in a project that's goal is affordability. Many people don't actually own a car in 19146, about 2,000 households according to the last census. So I think it's important that when we have a goal for affordable housing, that we don't just assume that everyone owns a car, particularly in a neighborhood that's dense and walkable. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Tomasetti, I'm gonna unmute you to just answer the question about zoning.
This is a by right project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tomasetti. All right, so I am going to conclude public comment. I know we still got a couple of hands up, but both of those commenters have already provided comments. Again, I think that the board has a very good understanding of what the issues are on this project, and I appreciate the board members who've also chimed in to sort of underscore some things. You know, I do think that we know that Point Breeze has had a lot of development, a lot of very high-end development, very dense, and I do think those are some things that we should take into consideration. I would say particularly when we are reviewing applications that come in unsolicited. This does meet the requirements of the disposition policy. So I think, staff appropriately reviews these and makes sure that it complies with the disposition policy. But we are the board, right? And the board is the one who sort of takes a little bit deeper dive and doesn't just say, yes, it complies with disposition policy, but is this something that we want to move forward, as the land bank board? So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve disposition for these properties for affordable home ownership units at 80% of AMI. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed, nay.
All right, give me a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-2.
Yeah,
go ahead, Andrea.
Yes, Madam Chair. So under the ordinance that creates the land bank, a majority of the entire board is required for approval of dispositions above $50,000. So And
Right,
the
so
date-
we would need 6 ayes. We do not have 6 ayes. So what happens in that case?
It doesn't pass.
But does that mean we bring it back at a future meeting, or is it just,
That is the board's decision to make.
Board can recommend tabling to the next board meeting.
Is that a separate motion that we
Yes.
would need to make a separate motion?
Yep.
Okay, I move that we postpone this agenda item until the next land bank meeting.
To give the developer an opportunity to meet with the community.
okay, so I have a motion to table this until the October board meeting. I need a second.
Second.
All right.
Can
Motion
I,
has been,
can I have
Go ahead.
clarity on because Alex presented just a postponement to the next month. Mr. Johns amended his proposal to say to meet with the community. Is the
Okay.
requirement to meet?
so I
with
was
the
just gonna,
community?
I was going to summarize that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we have a motion on the floor to table this to the October meeting that has been seconded with the recommendation that the developer use that time to meet with the community. And I would also suggest the council office and see if there can be sort of some additional, hopefully, agreement around what this project needs to look like. Okay, so can I get, so we have a motion on the floor and second it with those sort of caveats to table this until October. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item, hold on, 5A2 is tabled until October. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item 5A3, which is properties for disposition to the West Noma Group rehabilitation, not new construction, but rehabilitation for 7 affordable home ownership units at 80% of AMI.
Thank you. And today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 7 existing 2- and 3-story
Can
structures.
I just gotta stop you, Jesse, because I'm sorry, just noticed that board member Rebecca Lopez Chris has her hand up, and I'm not sure if it's for the last item or you're muted.
It was sort of for the last item, but I think it's more of a general comment that it would be, I think, maybe helpful for the board to address the 80% AMI sort of elephant in the room. And I know that's part of our disposition policy, but what are the parameters in which the board could re-examine that requirement and how much makes sense, just so the public has sort of a clear understanding of like, you know, because it sounds like everybody feels like 80% AMI isn't good enough. My own calculations are that for a family of 4, you'd have to have 2 incomes that are earning at least $20 an hour. So like,
Yeah.
where
I
does
mean,
that
I do think
conversation
that we
happen?
probably need to have that conversation in the policy, because I think, right, we're running up against what it costs to construct. And so, for example, let's say somebody at 40% can afford to buy, and I'm making these numbers up, they may not be accurate, so please do not quote me, right? Let's say somebody at 40% of median could afford to buy a house for $150,000, but it costs $230,000 to build that house, right? We currently don't have necessarily a way to bridge that gap, that frankly wouldn't make that cost go up even higher because of the requirements that come with our subsidy dollars. So I think, again, you know, that's what the Turn the Key program is, trying to buy that price down to a lower level. But again, I think it's tricky because the actual incomes, not AMI, right? AMI is the whole larger, you know, 5-county area, but the actual incomes in Philadelphia are so much lower than that. That how do you really get to that affordability level is unfortunately not an easy question, because oftentimes the numbers don't work. But
Yeah,
I
just
agree,
wanted-
it probably is worth having a conversation about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up to offer clarity to those who are listening in who might not understand the nuances of like what AMI sort of means. Right,
Yeah.
so, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay,
If I
thank
could
you.
just ask, because there's been several references to turn the key in this meeting, I think for the benefit of the public, it would be worthwhile to briefly describe what that is.
Certainly, Turn the
ahead,
Key is an initiative that's been put together by the administration and city council. It's a bond issuance. It is a pool of dollars that would go and present as a soft second mortgage for qualified home buyers. So as we are approving these developments, if a property is developed on land that the land bank is disposing, it automatically qualifies for the program. Then the prospective home buyer would then apply, and we would basically assess their need for a second mortgage to buy down that price to make it more affordable. So in a lot of our RFPs and in situations like this, we do have active negotiations and conversation with the council office, looking at the neighborhood to set those affordability levels. And just as we've just discussed, it is kind of a Rubik's Cube. There are development costs that you have to meet and make it so that a developer can come in and build the property, and then how we buy that down so it lessens the burden of the family moving in. So turn the key, in essence, when you see something at 80% of AMI, we could, ostensibly, put in another note. It's very patient money to make it affordable to a family at 70% of AMI, or go down to 60% of AMI. That will be handled on a case-by-case basis. But again, we can't get to that point unless we build the property and then, work that and actually have the families move in and provide that subsidy. So two parts of the equation. Get we're disposing of the land, we're setting a limit as to what the affordability is, get that property built. Once we get it to about 50-60% of completion of building, we start recruiting families, qualify the families, assess what that subsidy is to make it more affordable for those families, and then have them move in. So that's how we're trying to pair Turn the Key with what the land bank is doing here and where we look at these assessments. And it's very confusing for lay people if they're not familiar with AMIs. It's all jargon, I get that. But on a cash by cash, like on a monthly basis. And we've seen this in the past where we're working with banks, we're working through Turn the Key, where we're trying to make sure that that monthly mortgage note is less than what the rent is in the neighborhood. So in the past, I'd like to just point out, like we've had Herb Street, Cross Street, the average rent in the area, in that 19146 area, is about 1,600. It might have gone up, but we've done properties where, the Savetta Group has completed properties where the mortgage note was about $800, and they own it, they build equity.
I just
Go
want to
ahead.
note, when we're throwing numbers out there, that was prior
2-3
interest
years ago.
rates,
Yeah.
right? What,
Right.
that monthly nut under a mortgage now has gone
Right.
up significantly.
Right.
Again, something that we've got to keep our eye on.
Yeah. So, and we are sensitive to that. We're trying to make sure it's below a certain level.
Right. Okay, thank you. If that conversation is over, I think we can go, Jesse, and we can go back to item 5A3.
Man, picking it back up.
5A3.
Today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 7 existing 2- and 3-story structures. These properties are going to West Noma Revitalization Group for gut rehabs to be completed in the 3rd district. The developer proposes to sell these properties for affordable home ownership to households that are below 80% of AMI. A max sales price will not exceed $195,000 here. Each unit will include 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, ranging between 1,060 square feet to 1,655 square feet. The proposal was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy, including the following properties: 759, 761, 763, 773, and 779 and 783 Palace Street, as well as 4041 Cambridge Street. Developer will be purchasing the properties for nominal. Evidence of project financing has been provided by the developer. That applicant is compliant and good standing with the city of Philadelphia, and will be subject to an economic opportunity plan. The project will also be subject to irrevocable power of attorney or right of reentry as well, and ultimately subject to the use restrictions and income verification brought on by a declaration of restrictive covenants. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions or comments from the board on this item? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this? Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea, have we received any comments on this item? And it's so funny because before I said that, I was thinking, I know we got a letter on this, but go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so the board did receive a letter from Councilman Gautier, and I will read it into the record. Dear Chair Fedulin and Executive Director Rodriguez, I am writing to express my support for the affordable homeownership application from West Noma Revitalization Group LLC being reviewed by the Land Bank Board of Directors at this month's meeting. I'm grateful for this proposal to create 7 price-capped 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom affordable homeownership opportunities within the 19104 zip code. Through meetings with my staff, this development team has demonstrated their focus on maximizing participation of MBE firms employing a hyper-local West Philadelphia workforce and proactively partnering with the Housing Counseling Agency to ensure that the homes are sold to first-time home buyers from the near community. This application was submitted before the city's Turn the Key initiative was actualized. I encourage this development team, if approved, to pursue participating in Turn the Key to provide even deeper affordability. The fact that both co-developers are MBEs, one with roots in the 3rd district, is important to me as well, and something I hope we can further encourage as another way to ensure that equity and economic opportunity generated by new development fully benefits the community. Thank you for your consideration. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Jamie R. Gautier.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, and now I'm going to see if any members of the public have any comment on this item. All right, I don't see any hands up, but before I call, and I see both Board Member Balloon and Board Member Johns have their hand up, and I just want to say, I do think this is a good example of getting minority developers involved, and if this is successful as a way to get particularly our vacant structures back into good use, because that has been an issue, frankly, for the city for decades about how to deal with those structures. So with that, I'm going to recognize Board Member Balloon and then Board Member Johns.
Thank you. I echo your comments, but also this is a huge win for historic preservation and affordable housing. And I think it's excellent that the developer is choosing to restore some lost features and preserve these homes. Thank you.
Great. And Board Member Johns.
Both of you just took everything I was about to say. I mean, this is a win-win for the community in terms of jobs, in terms of opportunity, saving structures, it's and if you look at the size of these old homes, they can do a great job. These are very nice sized properties with, a lot of history. And I know the community will enjoy seeing new neighbors come in that are homeowners.
Great. All right, and with that, I'm going to call the question. Can I get a motion on this item?
Motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of several properties to West Noma Revitalization Group to develop 7 single-family affordable home ownership units. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to item 5A4.
Thank you, Ann. 5A4, today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 6 properties in North Philadelphia to Comac Commons LLC for the development of 6 single-family affordable homeownership units in the 5th Council District. The developer proposes to sell these properties to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI with a max sales price of $220,000. Each unit will contain 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, totaling just over 1,000 square feet. The proposal was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the current disposition policy. The properties are as follows: 3812, 3826, 3834, and 3846, and also 3850 North Camac Street, and finally 3861 North 13th Street. The developer will be purchasing these properties for $15,000. They've provided project financing evidence. They have also shown that they are compliant with the city and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. Project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan, and it will be subject to an irrevocable power of attorney and right of reentry reverter. These properties will be subject to a declaration of restrictive covenants to enforce income verification requirements and restrictions on who can occupy and purchase the properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Any questions from the board or commission of the board, excuse me. Can't keep my meeting straight. Any members of the board on this item? All right, seeing none, do we have any members from the, Jesus, I'm so sorry, Andrea. Boom. All right, Andrea, have we received any comments prior to the board meeting?
We received an email from Chinita Bradshaw, I hope I pronounced that correctly, regarding the homeownership units on the 3800 block of Camac Street. And the email stated that she was going to request questions from their neighbors to send to us. And she and Lanice Miller and Wayne Walker are all committee people and block captains in the 197th, I guess, ward. We are also concerned citizens that try to inform our neighbors about the neighborhood. No further comments were received.
Thank you. And now, if there's any members of the public that wish to comment on this item. And I see a hand raised by Chinita Bradshaw.
Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
I did post 2 questions in that email. One of them, is this a situation that's already written in stone and this will go through no matter what? Because there were signs hanging on the properties on Camac Street, but there was nothing given out actually in the community. So just coming through the block, which is a block that people don't frequent because it's a very small block that leads out to Pike Street, and we have a lot of short dumping going on there. So sometimes you can't even get through. But we didn't see this until like Sunday, and it was pouring down raining, but we grabbed it and then we saw what was going on. So the community has not been made aware, even though it says to the community. So they only put the signs on that block. So it's only a couple people that actually reside on that block. And most of them are really not concerned about what's going on in the community. We're just getting a lot of development in this area of Broad and Erie. We are very much involved with the community, and we just like to tell individuals, especially the older people that have been participating in meetings and community meetings and trying to better the neighborhood, so that we can go back and tell them. And one of the things we're concerned about is how developers come into the neighborhood and there is no employment for individuals that live in the neighborhood. We have strongly been in meetings with Shift Capital. They've actually paid for some of the guys in the community to get OSHA 30 training. They paid for it. However, no one has obtained employment to work on the Bury building. And in fact, that situation due to money restraints or something, we're waiting to hear from Greg DeFabio in terms of what's going to go on with that. And this has been an ongoing situation. No one in the neighborhoods, you see people pull up to work, they got jersey tags, they're not in 19140 zip code. So my question was, would individuals in the neighborhood get an opportunity for gainful employment? And would individuals in the neighborhood be able to afford, that might want to live in these homes, would they get the opportunity to do so? Those were the 2 questions that most of the neighborhood asks.
So Chairwoman, if I could answer that. So the process would be, if the board determines that they want to move forward with this, as we move to settlement, the developer would end up with an equal opportunity EOP goal, which requires them to hire minority business entities and women-owned business entities and disabled business entities, as well as there will be a hiring requirement. These are all ordinances and requirements to hire locally that will be tracked by the city to see how many people they're hiring from the local area. So that addresses that question. The other issue is affordability. These are being done at 80% of AMI. They will be qualified for our Turn the Key program, which I just explained earlier. That will be for qualified buyers, will allow us to provide some level of subsidy to buy down the purchase price, but also to make it easier for people to afford and make those monthly mortgage payments. So those are the two areas where we work with the developer on doing that. And we are actively involved with the compliance unit. It's not in the land bank, but we are actively involved with the compliance unit to really assess whether the project's moving the way it should and that they are complying with their goals.
Okay, is there any opportunity for anyone to speak to the community at this point? Or is it too late for that?
That would be, at this point, the question is whether the board will approve it. That we always recommend, and we are, tell the developers to meet with the community afterwards. The developers, Jesse, are the developers on the line?
So I did see Deetra Harris's hand up. She's part of that team. Her hand's still up actually, so she might be able to speak to that right now.
So I do know that this group of developers are very, very focused on the community. When we first met them and they proposed this project, and we stress community involvement. So I won't speak for the developer. I think they can do that themselves.
Okay. All right, so let's recognize Deetra Harris.
Hi, this is Deetra Harris. I'm the one of the developers for the project. Thank you for having me. We absolutely will invite local businesses, minority businesses. That's our intention. We like 100% of our project to include local businesses. And also we are working with several nonprofit organizations for home ownership opportunities. We have every intention to provide housing for those residents that live in the 19140 area code. In addition to that, we are eager to meet with the community, and yes, we will be doing so. We have attended one RCO meeting. We are a little confused about the RCO, if we have actually attended the correct RCO meeting, and hopefully we'll get some guidance from the city as to who that RCO person is, or person of contact. But yes, we are also emerging developers. We are women. I'm a women developer, African-American. And so we are super excited to come in and work with your community and to continue to build home ownership opportunities in the North Philly area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. And now recognize Judith Robinson.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. My experience has been that you need to talk to the community before the land is disposed. We've been having this issue for many, many years. I'm happy to know that Ms. Harris is African American, but what we're not gonna accept, with all due respect, is blackface on white power. I wanna just be frank with you on this. We have the biggest boom. My birthday is coming up this year, you all, so I'm not to belabor this too long, but I'm just thinking, over 30 years, I know I've been testifying, asking for us to do the right thing, be better. My community, and I'm a committee person, is going through gentrification, murder and mayhem. It's like we're in hell. So I want to be able to tell the young people from my community that there are opportunities coming with all this banging and building and all this land movement. It's a lot of land movement going on today, you all, in this hearing. I want to say put a pin in everything, not to stop it, but to give us, the cogent members of citizens of this community, an opportunity to negotiate. It's nothing wrong with negotiating. You give some, you get some, but we ain't getting anything. A whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of talking. When somebody started telling me how they're minority, I've been a business person for many years and never applied, because you know what? I say, send me a check from a company. Let me see who signs it. Let's do that, you all, and see who's really running a company before somebody tell me they're a minority. Now we're competing with immigrants. It's Black people, you all, Black faces that, and over this is decades, have not been given opportunities in the city of Philadelphia. I come to these forums often to just challenge and beg almost, you all, get your minds right. Because I'm a native of this town. I can't go back to somewhere else. I mean, I'm North Philly all the way. Strawberry Mansion in North Central. You ask me to go back home, I'll be going back to Strawberry Mansion, raising hell there. So I'm saying to you all, before you dispose of the properties, let's talk. You get nothing done unless you do that. And we, you know, we had a little discussion with Habitat for Humanity, some of our great friends. Guess what? I want to spread good news. After the negotiation, after you all held up, we resolved the issues. Not everything so smoothly, but I'm begging you all, give us a chance to negotiate. I'm one of the best negotiators, 30 years behind me, you all. And we could get these things right if we talk to each other beforehand. But if you run them through these processes and half the people are not on the line, I'm gonna put a pin in it right now, you don't get inclusion. You don't get all the things that you all claim these ordinance are doing. Not doing it. Got to meet the rubber with the road. My good friends up there at Tioga, all the groups they have, they're good people. They're working hard. They got support. I'm supporting them too, because it's North Philly. And let's see what we can do to really get inclusion. You got the Broad Street District coming up on the 20th to talk about that. Whole Broad Street, all the way from Fairmont all the way up to Indiana, all that dealing and wheeling, and we can't include Black people? Please stop, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. All right, that concludes the public comment on this item. So I'm going to call the question on item.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting, but I did want to correct my former statement for the record. Miss Bradshaw did send a follow-up email yesterday afternoon and I just missed it. So I have forwarded it to the board members and it did contain the 2 questions that she mentioned. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, and we heard from her testimony and we responded that on the call today. Okay, great. All right, so with that clarification, I'm going to call the question on item 5A4, which is disposition to Kamak Commons to develop 6 single-family affordable home ownership units for households at 80% of AMI or below.
I move that we approve the disposition.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition to Kamak Commons to develop 6 single-family affordable home ownership units. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and that brings us to item 5B, which is development that comes about as through request for proposal.
Thank you, and moving to the RFP section. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of properties in Brewery Town to FE Myrtlewood LLC, specifically for the development of affordable home ownership project in the 5th district. The proposal includes 61 single-family affordable home ownership units, all of which are 2 stories with basements, totaling 1,665 square feet. These units contain 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. They will be sold to those at or below 100% of AMI in terms of income. The maximum sales price will be capped at $280,000 for these units as per the RFP. Again, these were applications, the application for this was solicited through a request for proposals process, that of which the applicant was the most qualified bidder for the properties. The properties are again in the 5th District, North Philadelphia's Brewerytown neighborhood, and they are as follows: 1309, 1324, 1347, 1348, 1410, 1412, 1421, 1424, 1427, 1428, 1429, 1433, 1437, 1440, 1443, 1451, 1452, 1454, 1457, 1459, 1463, 1512, 1516, 1519, and 1534 North Myrtlewood Street, also including 1330, 1458, 1460, and 1500 North Hollywood Street, 1218, 1511, 1513, 1521, 1523, 1525, and 1537 North 28th Street, 1253, 1257, 1402, 1457, 1648, and 1652 North 30th Street, 2713 and 2922 West Thompson Street, 1240, 1265, 1271, 1304, 1318, and 1446 North Dover, 1330, 1332, 1334, and 1336 North Marston, 1339, 1416, 1446, 1455, and 1632 North Newkirk, 3000 West Oxford, and 2815 Jefferson Street. The developer will be purchasing these properties at a nominal price, $61 per property. Evidence of the project financing has been provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. The project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan, also subject to irrevocable power of attorney, and also subject to a right of reverter reentry, or reentry reverter, excuse me. The sale of all the units will be subject and include a declaration of restrictive covenants, and units will be subject to these income verifications as specified in the RFP. Thank you.
Jesse, any questions or comments from any of the board members on this item? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any members? Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. I even wrote myself a big note that says, talk to Andrea first, and I still missed it. Go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to, to summarize, we had received about 24 emails prior to last month's board meeting regarding this agenda item. Some were very specific to individual lots being retained as green space or side yards, allowing neighborhood residents to purchase them. Some were more general in nature about how this is affecting the quality of life in the neighborhood in terms of the amount of construction going on, street closures, things like that. I did want to point out there were 8 emails that were specific to 1339 North Newkirk Street being preserved. There were others, so 1511 North Myrtlewood Street had been removed from the disposition, as have several other properties in response to further review of the emails. Perhaps other staff could speak to that. But there are too many emails for me to read each one of them. They will all be included attached to the minutes of this meeting, but they were generally in opposition. Very few.
And as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, the predominant opposition was that several of these were maintained lots that folks wanted to continue to have as community garden or side yards.
That is correct.
Right. Okay. And then, Jesse, it's my understanding that the developers have removed those lots from this.
There were removals from this first go around to this particular presentation of this item. Properties were removed and like you just said, for those that apparently were maintained and apparently had been pre-existing community gardens of sorts. But we have shaved down the property list as a result of the feedback we received last month.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Just checking my bases here. Okay. With that, I'm going to go to public comment and
Just really
we'll-
quickly, Ann,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I missed
So-
your hand up, Rebecca.
Jesse, are you able to answer, or Jesse or Angel? So those properties that have been removed, like what's the process? Like, are we going to see those at a later date as side yards or community gardens?
The individuals would have to apply and they would have to be qualified applicants.
Right.
So we removed them from this batch. So those people that are adjacent and qualify, they have to be qualified applicants. And then when they are vetted and qualified, they will be brought to the board for disposition.
And are we doing any outreach to them to sort of encourage them to apply?
We would do so after this. I mean, our first thing was we had to go out and inspect them again, assess them. We met with the council office and then repost this. So we will do that after this meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, and now I'm going to public comment and we're going to recognize Judith Robinson again.
Thank you again. Wow. First of all, the addresses were going by me pretty quickly, but if I remember correctly, some of these are part of eminent domain from 2015, where PHA was allowed to use eminent domain, taking 800 parcels. So some of these are a part of that, and I just want to acknowledge that. Eminent domain, and I want to ask if anybody has checked whether everybody has been compensated for the land before it moves out of where we can't, have the hard time tracking it. That's one of my questions. And again, I'm going to ask if that's a lot for people who have a lot on their plate to call and say hell no to something downtown. So with all due respect, I'm going to ask that this, again, I see you all who are not from the Black community. I see a few Black faces here, and you all making decisions about where Black people mostly live as we're in the hell of gentrification. Can you back up some and at least let us talk? We don't have the power to stop you, but we darn sure have the power to talk about it and make sure it's on public record of what's going on here. See, I like to talk to the people who are making decisions, I see my friend Michael there, that's 5th District and all that, but you need to talk to us. We up here living it, okay? If we're maintaining land, you need to know about it well beforehand, before you even put it on a list. That means you're not talking to us if you have to take it off and you don't know and have to go look again. You need to talk again, over and over again. What you rushing to? What you rushing to? Interest rates up, this, that, the price of materials up. What we rushing to? To do what? So I want to talk about the land as it relates to eminent domain, where you're taking 800 parcels out of the equity of Black folk. And we need to talk about that, but I'm going to let y'all do, because that's what y'all do, okay? Y'all go ahead on.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Robinson, and let's recognize Mr. Kuntz, Board Member Kuntz.
Hi, I just wanted to respond to my friend Judith's comments about some of the properties may or may not be part of the Sharswood taking done by PHA in 2015. None of these properties were acquired by PHA via eminent domain. They were all acquired by the city or by the redevelopment authority over a decade ago.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Gideon Riddick.
Hi, I'm a Brewerytown resident of about 14 years. I'm looking at a lot of the new construction and the design of these buildings. Existing houses, we have side yards. We have windows that face those side yards, which provide us additional light. They provide us with additional airflow when we want to open our windows. All of the new construction that we see going up throughout the city is building right up to the property line, and neighbors I have with new construction next door to them are looking right out onto vinyl siding. My wife and I grow vegetables for our own food in our side yard, and anything going up next to our house is going to go right to the property line and make that unavailable space for us to be able to frankly live. I think that there was wisdom in the design of the houses in the 1890s and early 20th century that that said that airflow and use of a side yard and having that little bit of extra outdoor space was a really good and healthy thing. And I would like to see the land bank, and frankly, every developer and every community board in this city reflect a little bit more on the architecture that's being used now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. And next we'll hear from Nicholas Novi.
Yes, good morning all. Thanks for having me. I live at 1502 North Hollywood, and so 1500 North Hollywood is on this list. And just my first general comment is I applaud, all of you board members, and I applaud the developers for at least attempting to try to get some affordable housing in our Brewerytown area. I think overall, although there will be growing pains to it with respect to parking and other things, I think overall this is a really good plan. I just wanted to make a comment, and I submitted a letter prior to the last meeting about 1500 North Hollywood Street. And that's a lot that we've been maintaining as a community garden. We have also put solar lights on it to make the community a little bit safer. We encourage dogs to come on the lot and use it, and their owners to enjoy the small garden that we have put up. And one issue in particular with this lot and our neighborhood is that there's no real place for dog owners to take their dogs. The two large parks around us, which are great, are the 27th in Jefferson and the 30th in Jefferson parks. However, both of those parks are no dogs allowed. And in addition, there are other people in the community who maintain lots like I do and who strictly refuse dogs to be on their lots. And so this is one of the few areas where dogs actually are able to go, and owners of dogs are actually able to go in peace and without breaking any of the city's ordinances and laws about where dogs should go. And so I think all in all, again, I support the project in full. I would like an opportunity, and the letter that I submitted also included a statement of community endorsement, at least from one of my neighbors who uses the lot next to me as well. And so I guess I'm asking the board to just take off this property for now, just to give myself and the community an opportunity to discuss this one lot before moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Novi. Okay, looks like we have heard from at least once from all the community participants, and unless there are any other questions or comments from the board, I'm going to call the question. Oh, and looks like we have a question from.
I see. I have a
board
quick
members,
question, clarification. It sounds like several parcels were pulled from the initial proposed list because community gardens or whatever else. Do we know of other lots beyond the one at 1500 North Hollywood that wasn't pulled as requested, or how many other ones were? I mean, obviously there's decisions made one way or the other, but how many total lots were considered and how many got pulled versus didn't get pulled?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was a total of 17 that initially had stated that they were some form of activity, and we vetted them. And then we ended up pulling 7.
Unless
So the lot that
go
the
ahead.
gentleman just talked about wasn't part of that 7?
No, it was not.
And was it the decision made not to pull some of these other lots because when you vetted them, you didn't think there were active uses on them, or what?
There are issues as to whether we could dispose them, but also the type of use. A dog park is not an allowable use. We wouldn't be able to dispose of it as a dog park without. So those came into those questions as to what we were doing. And we did this in concert with the council office.
All right, if there's no other questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion on this item, and I would just remind board members that you can make a motion that adjusts whatever on the agenda, should you so choose. So can I get a motion on this item?
I move that we approve the disposition.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of all of these properties for the development of affordable housing, affordable at 100% of AMI. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that brings us to item 5C, which is developments under assemblage.
Thanks, Ann. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of a property in North Philadelphia on a Ridge Avenue commercial corridor to the Stash Spot LLC, excuse me. The developer proposes to include this property with others in its project to build a 3-story, 10,300 square foot bar, lounge, and restaurant. The applicant owns more than 50% of the development site, which also includes 2319 to 21 Ridge Avenue and also 1711 North Bonsall Street as well. The application was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy, specifically qualifying under the assemblage opportunity. The developer will be purchasing this property for $130,000, the established fair market value of the property. Evidence of project financing has been provided, and the applicant is in compliance with the City of Philadelphia in good standing as well. The project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan, and the project will be subject to irrevocable power of attorney and right of re-entry reverter as well. Thank you.
Jesse, do we have any comments or questions from the board members on this item? Board member Balloon has his hand up.
I just wanted to point out that I was looking at the zoning, this particular use does require a special exception from the zoning board of adjustment. So there will be, I believe, a community meeting required.
Great, thank you. Good information. And board member Johns.
Yeah, so this will require an economic opportunity plan that the developer has to provide. Correct.
Yes, correct.
Right. As part of his proposal, was a part of their proposal, did they mention any jobs that they be looking to create as part of this permanent jobs that they'd be looking to create as part of this project?
That part of the narrative wasn't really included, but the developer is actually on the line if you want to address that question directly to him.
Well, I'll wait till, we have, if there's any public comment or anything.
All right. And Andrea, did we receive any comment on this item?
We did not.
And it looks like we have one hand up from the public, Lawrence Robinson.
That is the developer.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Lawrence Robinson. I'm the owner of the Stash Spot Music Lounge. I'm trying to remember your question. I think you said jobs.
Yeah.
So I've already, been speaking with the community. I spoke with Ridge on the Rise. I spoke with Daryl Clark's office. They all seem to be, in agreement of what I'm doing there. I'm offering a lot of jobs. It's going to be a very large building, so I'm going to need servers and, bartenders and people to keep the upkeep on the outside and up and coming chefs and things like that in the neighborhood. I also had some of the neighbors that live in the area, the insurance company, there was a lot of trash and dirt and things around the building. They cleaned up around the building. I had some new pavements put down. All of the vegetation that was growing on the building pulled down, and that was all the community. I didn't hire anybody outside of the community. They all live in that neighborhood. So that's what I'm looking to do in that neighborhood and be able to have something positive and for the neighborhood and for people just being able to come and feel safe and have a good place to get a live music venue that's not downtown where they can go to in their own neighborhood. So I guess that's all I had to say about it.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. And I'll recognize Board Member Bullough.
I just had a quick question for the applicant. If they could sort of summarize their current standing with the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Can we get Mr. Robinson back on the line?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay, yes, my liquor license is in safekeeping with the Liquor Control Board until the venue opens.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Robinson. All right, I'm not seeing any other board member hands up. So we'll go back to public comment and Judith Robinson.
Well, a Robinson getting something done in North Philly. That's a good thing. But listen, you all have disabled the chat, and I want to and the Q&A, so we can't really communicate. You know, I would like to say, for instance, put this gentleman's information in the chat so we can really have a chat with him. Okay, you know, a lot is going on in North Philly, and I thank you all, Rick, for not disposing of a parcel of land for a dog park. Okay, come on now. You're respectful of more of a white man talking about a dog park than you are black folks who've been struggling in hell in North Philly for a long time. Okay, so look, let's be respectful. Open the chat. Let's really talk to each other. You all got the power. You're so powerful. Why disable the chat so we can communicate? You're on this virtual space. Can't get to see you in public, not yet. But let us talk. Let us be respectful of each other. Could you please put the gentleman's information in the chat? And I just want to say this last but not least. I'm a real estate broker of many years. 280-some thousand is affordable for who? You all keep talking about affordable housing, but it's income-based. Income-based, like PHA is supposed to be doing. And baby, with all due respect, we got to bring in PHA. Because you can't have a real discussion about housing and all the homelessness and all of that until you talk about income-based housing, based on people's income, okay? You allow them to do eminent domain, everything in the book, but income-based housing. Let's get to that, you all. Then we could really talk about affordability. Leave no one behind. 280,000 with the interest rates as they are, who's qualifying for them? Let's just be realistic. I'm glad you have a clawback. That's real nice. But let's talk. Let's be respectful of each other. Because how many people even have the time or energy to come here and battle over land? The last resources available. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I do believe we have the Q&A enabled, and I don't think there's anything disabled. So if there is a possibility to put the developers' contact information in the chat or the Q&A, that would be wonderful. All right, that concludes public comment on this item. So again, I will call the question, which is disposition for, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just had one. I just had one.
Member Johns, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I know you didn't see my hand raised. I just have one more comment for the developer. I think that if he's going to be providing jobs and opportunities, just a reminder that there are a number of urban farms that are right in that neighborhood. So he may want to consider opportunities for fresh vegetables for his chefs or whatever to buy and use fresh vegetables and whatnot directly from the neighborhood. Also, there's a new supermarket that was developed as part of PHA's redevelopment activity, which he could focus on, maybe some opportunities there too. That was it.
Great, excellent. Okay, and now I'm going to call the question, which again is a disposition for development assemblage to the Stash Spot LLC. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve this disposition to Stash Spot LLC. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And that brings us to our last item, which is item 5D, which is disposition of side and rear yards. Unless anybody has an objection, we're going to take all three of these as one item. All right,
Thanks,
seeing
Ann.
no objection from the board, please proceed, Jesse.
Awesome. Item D. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 3 different side yards. Specifically, they are 1952 South Redfield Street in the 2nd District to Leander Seabury Sr. The additional property is also 525 West Norris Street in the 7th District to Courtney Nix DeMuro and Christopher DeMuro. And also in the 7th District, 2214 North Orkney Street to MD Ghulam Mustafa and Sharman Akhtar. These properties are being proposed for conveyance to these individual applicants or pair homeowners as side yards and rear yards. The applicants must reside in their own adjacent homes, which they do. Each property will be subject to a 30-year mortgage and permanently restricted for use as a side or rear yard. For each of these applications, evidence of project financing has been provided. The applicants are in compliance and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. The projects will not be subject to an economic opportunity plan, but again, subject to use restrictions as side rear yards. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you, Jesse. Any comments or questions from the board on any of these side yards? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on any of these side yard dispositions? Oh, Andrea, did we receive any comments?
We did not.
It's just a thing with me this meeting. What can I tell you? All right. Any members of the public that wish to comment on any of these side yards? All right. Seeing no hand raised, can I get a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of side yards 1952 South Redfield Street, 525 West North Street, and 2214 North Orkney Street. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that concludes our September agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to approach the board on any items that were not on the agenda? Seeing no hand raised, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the comment on the lively discussion as always at the Land Bank Board meeting, and we will see you all in October. Be well. Bye-bye.
Aye.